welcome to the Crypto Rodeo Show. I'm here with Rui Pedro, the CEO of BPro. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Rui.
Yeah, I mean, first, thanks for having me here. I think this was something that and normally a lot of people don't do. They just look at the numbers of YouTubers and etc. And they think that's more relevant than the real presentation. And for people to search, I think it's relevant to me as personally as someone being within this industry and having a project that is public and even for businesses to show like who I am and what's behind the BPro brand and what we're doing. So I mean, I'm very happy to talk with you, Crypto Rodeo, and I've been seeing a lot of the day-to-day streams. It's very cool and very
Yes.
nice to
Awesome.
see that. So
Yes,
for me,
thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
it's a very
people.
good it's a very good friendly conversation that I
Yeah,
hope we have here
it's
because at the end of the day, I'm always also a supporter of that show.
yes. Thank you so much for supporting the Crypto Rodeo Show.
Uh,
So there are a lot of newcomers to BPro. If you could summarize BPro in like a nutshell for people who are just now getting involved with BPro, what would you say BPro is?
Yeah, so Bpro today is a framework of development for DeFi gaming, betting, everything that has to do with all these three frameworks and in business cases. We try to create several products that might fit within this category. Staking, NFTs, NFT factories in this case, everything that has to do with prediction markets, also exchange markets, for example, exchanging information more related with the DeFi space. So everything that has to do with this topic on the decentralized area of Ethereum smart contracts going forward, that's where we are focusing. So it's all around this topic.
Excellent. And who would you say your target clientele would be for your product, BPro?
So a normal client is already established brand or establishing brand in terms of their own product. I mean, we have B2C customers that are developing their own B2C brand and want to integrate, for example, NFTs want to integrate staking mechanisms for their upcoming token. They want to also develop their own token. So all of this comes together with clients being outside of the blockchain space and
Hmm.
knowing Bpro and saying, okay, we might want to work with you guys, get your know-how, your technical support, your framework that is available on GitHub and on README, etc., and start developing that and integrating within our current infrastructure and see where is the business case for this.
Excellent. And you mentioned previously in an interview, you had said that BPro is like the Shopify of blockchain. Can you kind of elaborate what you meant by that? That was a very interesting statement, and I think a lot of people on the live stream heard that and are wondering what that
Yeah,
means.
yeah. I think Shopify, and that I'll bring back a little bit of my personal opinion on Shopify. I think Shopify probably was one of the most impactful companies on the last 10 years
Hmm.
because it's really created the second level. A lot of scams, like I don't, you guys know, like selling drop shipping courses, like AliExpress, all that. I did it. Also tried to understand how everything worked. But Shopify really like created a framework where entrepreneurs don't need developers to sell their stuff. And that basically Shopify was building on top of that. Like you don't need developers; you just come to us, you pay us $50 a month, and you have your sale, your online sales store here, and you can just do everything. I also know about a lot about like the process of how Shopify was built. I think that there was an interview with Jason Calacanis, the Spotify podcast that I listened to about like this week in startups, if I'm not wrong. And he explained a lot like how Shopify came to be, how it started, and I think it's really the perfect way how a startup is built. And I really follow those principles by base, which is try to focus on revenue, not focus on overgrowth, but for the beginning, because the thing that matters the most is the product market fit, trying to understand the customer, and we are in this process for the last 2 years, and we might even get another year try to find the product market fit, but that's part of the process because trying to just narrow and get everything perfect by the first time, it's a lot of luck involved and it's a lot of business know-how. And by being young, in my case, I have a lot of time, but I have also a lot of know-how for specific cases. But we have to understand that the market is not what I want, but it is what it is. So the Shopify case is a good example of how to build a product in 4 years to get to a point where now it needs a lot of capital to grow, or in fact, it does not need that much capital, but the capital will basically speed up the process. And Shopify basically took a lot of time to understand how it works, how to create the software house that they were previously into a software as a service machine. And that's a bit what we're trying to do with Bpro. Like we started very early with like very specific use cases for betting and for our clients in terms of creating a very good framework and the setup of technology tool for our clients to use it. We understood that at that time was very difficult to scale. We tried to create other sub-products more in the decentralized finance area, trying to work within blockchain space for other companies. And there we understood possibly the business case might be in this area instead of the opposite. So that's where we started focusing a lot more, and that's how Shopify is basically our trying to understand like we want to do for the blockchain space for like B2B companies that are already legacy and are here. They are trying to enter the blockchain space, and we want to be kind of a framework that not only these companies use, but also developers and software houses use also our tools to serve these clients. So we don't want to only serve them directly, but also be used for the developers that work with them directly.
That's perfect. I have been saying on my streams with the audience that, you guys are all about, just like Steve Ballmer back in the day with Microsoft, developers, 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 providing a framework ready to go for developers to kind of draw on and create whatever they need to create on, because they may not have the research and development into blockchain or
Exactly.
cryptocurrencies. And I
And
think
it's very
that's
expensive.
perfect. It is very expensive. You're right.
Exactly.
We talk a lot about assets and utility and what they provide on the crypto space. What would you say the biggest problem in the crypto space that Bpro may solve?
Yeah, so basically right now, and if you go and look at as a developer, I mean, if you want to build CryptoKitties, if you want to build Gods Unchained, if you want to build, I'm just giving examples of NFTs because it's the most hyped stuff, and still you probably might build everything from scratch, and that's the crazy thing. Right now we live in an area of like NFTs and all of this is booming, but these companies are even trying to build everything from scratch all over again. And even though a lot of code is public, you have Open Zeppelin, you have a lot of stuff, you still need to have a really good developer, if not 1, 2, 3 developers, creating all the blockchain infrastructure for the ERC 721s, trying to understand the business cases, change contracts, etc., etc. And you still have to find them. You still have to pay them a lot of money because it's hard to find them. You go to TopTal, all these companies. All this process takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of capital, and takes a lot of losing focus of the actual B2C side. So the idea is that Bpro comes to mind as like, okay, let's go here. These guys have technical support. These guys are able and already have the know-how of creating these specific frameworks. Like 90% of the code will not be changed, and just a little bit will be tweaked specifically to each use case, because there is no one size fits all in specifically for these types of businesses, which is NFTs, for example. So that's the idea, is to create this framework where Bpro comes to mind as one. Of course, I mean, let's not be naive, as one of the good B2B frameworks for developing this technology. And that's where I see Bpro, and I don't see much companies trying to develop these frameworks. I mean, we can see Acropolis, for example. I think they're smart over there, and they're trying to build something very cool. Gnosis is trying also to do something around those lines. So if we see that there's not too much companies trying to do that, I mean, if we look at the guys behind CryptoKitties, which is Flow and everything, they are building everything from scratch, like all the B2B, B2C, like it's all their IP. If you look at NBA Top Shot, etc. If you look at all these other projects from the Immutable, which is Gods Unchained, they also own everything. Like these companies are trying to build everything from scratch right now, but I doubt, and I really doubt, that in 3-5 years these companies will still be building everything from themselves. I really think there will be a framework for B2B. There will be an interface for you to plug and play pieces of code for creating blockchain technology. And we don't want to be that interface, but we want to be the framework that probably that interface will use. So that's the idea.
Excellent. And speaking of NFTs, recently Cardano actually made kind of a little bit of an announcement that they're trying to, I don't want to use the word dethrone Ethereum from their grasp of NFTs. Where would you say Bpro comes into place when it comes to the NFT framework of things? Like, is it going to be like an open sea kind of situation, or are you going to provide a plug and play feature?
Yeah, if everything goes well, Bpro will not be seen. So that's the idea.
Ah,
Is that
okay.
the idea is not to BPro to be seen as being like from the customer. The only thing that for me matters, and we are starting to see that with, for example, vaccines, people are starting to care if their vaccine is from Pfizer or AstraZeneca, which is crazy if you think
Mm-hmm.
about that, because people are now being picky about pharmaceuticals and like which brand I want to use. So we are getting to that point. So looking at BPRO on that side, the idea is that all us as consumers, and I am a consumer also, use technology, but we don't know if it's using like a Qualcomm, if, like octa-core GPU on the PC, whatever. So the idea is that you use it. Of course, 10% will know exactly that is Bpro that is behind, but the idea is that 90% will just use the software, works great. That's the idea, that it will work and you don't notice, and will be really undetectable from just a normal human being, and will be Bpro behind. That's the idea.
Excellent. And I think I need to talk about the elephant in the room. Everyone wants to know about tier one exchanges. And recently, Bpro has just been listed on Dodo. And everyone saw your tweet in regards to Binance asking, what coin do you want to see listed on Binance? And obviously, Bpro would be nice to see on Binance. Now, what does it take? Because a lot of people are just, they're grasping for, let's get on Binance, let's get on tier one exchanges. What does it actually take to get on a tier one exchange? Is it something on the exchanges side, or is it on your side, or is it somewhere in the middle where you both kind of agree this is the right time? How does that work?
Yeah, there's two topics there. I'll say the first thing, and for me, I mean, I'm trying to be more active on Twitter, and I think as everyone can see, I'm really having a good time. I mean, I try to literally say things that I believe on, so that's just literally me. And I someone from the community said something to ping on Twitter, and that's how I came. I just said that Bpro as technology would be a great add to the Binance ecosystem. That's literally what I wrote. If that's being part of the Binance exchange, the centralized exchange, if being part of the overall ecosystem of the Binance chain, I mean, I think Binance has a lot to gain from the use of good technology in a Binance chain, which they're investing a lot and is the main use of the BSC token. So I think that's the biggest value where I think Binance would get from Bpro. It's using our technology to powering applications into Binance. Because if you look into Binance chain, there's not much good technology over there right now as today. I mean, you have Pancake Swap. I would say it's the biggest one. So probably they definitely might need good B2B tools to use there and to promote that, because Binance definitely has a lot of marketing brand and marketing power to go forward that. On the second topic, and being completely honest in terms of how things work into listing, etc. I mean, a listing process, and of course I cannot say anything about like our company personally, but I'll try to explain as an outsider. So on a listing side, things normally work very, very, very directly. I mean, this is just a business decision. If there is a sense for a company or for a token to list within a certain exchange, given client needs, given certain jurisdictions, given needs for the market, marketing. So there's a lot of variables involved here for a listing to exist or to not exist based on different parameters. Normally, and as an investor within the industry, there's also always these wanting for a token or for a crypto to list on a higher exchange, etc., etc. From me, as also I'm not a huge investor. I normally take more of my time to develop. Sometimes I did like two investments, I think, over the last 2 years, which was friends. Literally invested in some friends projects. But besides that, as an investor, the thing that I see also, I mean, you see tokens getting listed on Binance and crashing. That happens, and that's happening today. The greatest thing of, okay, let's list on an exchange for getting the token price up, and that's a lot of retail investors and people, as me, as I'm a retail investor, also believe on this. This is kind of a false premise. So just to think about that topic. Of course, we are looking and talking with a lot of partners, not only from the exchange side, but also for all the part of the giving value to the company. That for me what matters the most: marketing, partners, etc. Exchanges also because of marketing. That's the idea. It's a very complex and simple process at the same time. That's the more I can say.
Perfect. Thank you so much for explaining that. There is something on Kucoin called bots. There are these bots that can trade up and down for you automatically. They use an algorithm. Now, do you have any opinion on whether these bots have an effect on the natural progression of a token throughout its time, being that 2 months ago, Kucoin had right around 160,000 active bots. Now it's getting up to nearly 660,000 bots on Kucoin. What is your opinion on the bot situation with Kucoin, and if you can comment on it?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't have too much info. I mean, I was trying to even to get info from you because you were saying that there was 1,000 2 months ago and now it's 6,000.
No,
Is
2 months ago there was about 160,000 active
okay?
bots that trade
Bots is like
automatically.
grid trading or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's grid trading,
Okay.
exactly. So now it's nearly 660,000 bots. So it's gotten
Okay. Okay.
6 times higher. And a lot of people in the live stream have expressed their feelings, saying that they believe that the KuCoin exchange is being somewhat artificially manipulated by the algorithms of these bots that trade up and down. They buy the dip, sell the rip, buy the dip, sell the rip. So if do you believe that these bots have an effect on the natural progression of an asset on a KuCoin exchange, being that these bots are there?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I'm also at the same time I'm answering, I'm trying to think about that because I never thought about it. So in terms of the bots, and I normally use Kucoin sometimes because I really like the UI of the app. I think it's a really good mobile app, and that's why I have a good relationship with the business developers at Kucoin. I think they have a really good software, and I like that being a software guy. So from that side, I think I know what the bots are. Basically, it's the grid trading feature that they have there. If I think that impacts Bpro or other assets, I would say probably yes, depending on the type of rules that the people that use them put. I mean, really, I mean, going to the more complex and the more obvious part. If everyone decides to buy at A and sell at B, that definitely will create a quadratic definition. I mean, I think that's where triangles and technical analysis normally is used for. It's like what's the market sentiment, what's everyone doing in terms of mathematical decisions. So I would say probably yes, but the bots at the end of the day are real people. If the bots is the grid trading, because it's someone that goes there and says, okay, I want to sell at this price and buy at this price. So talking as a normal someone, not someone from Bpro, which I am part, but talking as someone that just looks at Kucoin and sees the features that they work with, of course, that has impact in any type of asset. If and depending on how much people use it against the normal fundamentals of a project.
Excellent. Thank you for your feedback on that. One final question I want to ask you. Any announcements that you would like to make on the Crypto Rodeo Show about, your project, Bpro, your timeline, anything at all?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. I think next week there will be some announcements getting out. One of the things, and all the interviews, and I'm very happy to get all the interviews because we all that I'm working, as mentioned. If I can answer, I say yes. If I can't, I just say no. I have no problem with that. Of course, if this case, these are announcements. It's supposed for everyone to not know before they get announced. So some of them will leave them until the announcements are done. But more of our announcements and more of the stuff that we do is literally to explain to the community what we're doing in terms of technology and to our clients. It's a very good way because we also have a newsletter. We send them. So the idea is that we explain what we are doing now because we get a lot of leads, and it's also a very good way for us to get new clients. Even though some people looking from the outside, and there is a lot of projects doing that, just announcements for itself, trying to, I don't know, create awareness just for investors, etc. We literally get sales, and that's for us what's mattered the most. So even though everything is around the Bpro brand and the Bpro token, because we want to make this project decentralized and the most decentralized as possible, that is a 1-year process. The idea is that to make Bpro as decentralized as Uniswap, as decentralized as Compound Finance, but that's the process that we are running into. The idea is to finalize that within the end of this year. Okay, I think this is something that it's only you that I'm talking with about this topic. So that there you go.
Thank you.
Something something from the inside. It's something that we're looking at.
Yes.
The decentralized, more the finance of Bpro, and now everything works. We want to have community developers working. I think I already talked about that. So the idea is to make that, and all the announcements will go around that topic, which is what we are doing technology-wise, what we are doing marketing-wise, and to explain what we have now available. NFTs, for example, as soon as we got the NFTs information out, we already have closed 3 clients, and that was closed, done. Even though we have a lot of leads going out, so really returns to us and gets the ball rolling, which is the goal.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the Crypto Rodeo Show and doing this interview. Um, Guys, this is our CEO, Bpro. We love Bpro. We love the project. I mean, everyone in the live stream. I do daily live streams, and everyone comes in and they love Bpro. Every day I see a new member say, "Hey, I'm into Bpro now." So the community is
Cool,
growing,
cool.
and we thank you so much for being an awesome CEO.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.